everyone, welcome to this update video this morning. I hope you're doing good. We're going to be looking at what's going on in the tropics. So we've got Hurricane Debby, which is just about to make landfall in Florida. So it has strengthened into a hurricane. It's a Cat 1 moving in, and it is going to be bringing those very dangerous impacts, which have already started for some areas. But this is going to be shifting to other parts of the southeastern states because it is expected to slow down significantly and loiter, thus becoming a major flood threat for some areas. So I spoke about that yesterday, gonna reiterate it again today, and then of course we'll be looking at the tropical wave moving into the Caribbean, which is marked with a 30% chance of development. In addition, we'll be drifting to the Pacific as well. There's a lot of action over there right now, so let's get straight into it. And let's get the Pacific out of the way. So here we can see on the graphical tropical weather outlook 3 active tropical storms: Carlotta, Dani'i, and Amelia. Amelia was previously Tropical Depression 5, and that's not the end of the story. There's that other disturbance with a 90% chance of formation through both 7 and 2 days. So maybe by tomorrow or so, it could become a tropical depression and eventually a tropical storm. So it's very active in the Eastern Pacific. The good news, all of these are moving out. They're not going to be a problem for any land masses. So going over to the Atlantic Basin, though, here on the satellite imagery, we can see Debby moving into Florida with all the associated activity. There's that storm surge, the heavy rainfall, even that threat of tornadoes as well, and the strong winds. And those 80-mile-per-hour winds with higher gusts are actually capable of doing some damage, especially to those weaker structures. So that is going to be unfolding. This is going to be the talk of the town for the southeastern U.S. this week. And then as we head to the Caribbean, there is that tropical wave, which is marked for development. So it's entering the Caribbean region right now, but we can see all of this rain and thunderstorm activity ahead of it, and it is going to be moving generally to the west, and it could intensify as it moves into the Western Caribbean and even the Gulf of Mexico. So it's now being depicted on the National Hurricane Center's outlook that, hey, this thing could move into the Gulf, and once the environment is favorable, we know how the story goes sometimes over there with the rapid intensification, but that is some time out. Nothing is solid just yet. For now, lots of rain lingering across parts of the Lesser Antilles, especially the Windward Islands, even headed to the ABC Islands. I spoke about that yesterday, that some of the activity associated with this wave could move to the ABC Islands and enhance the rain. That's what we're seeing happening this morning. Let me know what's going on for you. So it's going to be a rainy day for many persons in the Southeast Caribbean. Further north, it's a bit drier, and also for the Greater Antilles, going to parts of Central America, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, not a whole lot of activity going on right now. But as we head through today, this is a look at the rainfall forecast. We can see all of these colors, these red shadings indicating rainfall amounts probably up to or just around an inch for parts of the southeastern Caribbean, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, the Grenadines, Grenada, even going to Barbados, Trinidad, Tobago. There could be quite a bit of rain. Some decent showers likely across the ABC Islands as well, as I highlighted. Things are going to be active for parts of Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana as well. And then for Central America, for a few spots, may not be active for everywhere. Headed to the northern islands of the Caribbean, the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Cuba, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and the Leeward Islands. So Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Bartholomew, Saba, St. Eustatius, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, even parts of Guadeloupe, Antigua, Barbuda may not experience a whole lot of rain today. So it's likely to be the case of just those passing showers or those afternoon thunderstorms just popping up for a while and then dissipated. And then for the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos, much not expected either. Then towards Florida, we'll see those rainfall totals, pretty high totals associated with Debby. And we're going to be moving on to Debby in a bit more detail in a moment. But in terms of the rainfall forecast on the whole for the Caribbean region, that's what is expected for today. So with that tropical wave moving in, it's going to be quite rainy across the area, and in addition to that, there could be those instances of flooding when there's a lot of heavy rain in a short amount of time. Let's move on to Hurricane Debby. Debby is a hurricane as expected, and we can see it moving in. So it is making landfall right now, really. If it had more time over water, though, there's no doubt that it would have been stronger. So it's definitely exhibiting those hurricane characteristics. And as I said, it's going to be a major issue. It's not just about the landfall right now. It is about the hurricane, well, maybe going to be downgraded to a tropical storm by the time, loitering offshore, just offshore, but close enough to be unleashing a lot of heavy rain. And I mean, being offshore means that it's going to be getting more strength as it will be fueled by the very warm waters of the Atlantic. So let's go ahead and look at the National Hurricane Center's cone forecast. We can see it here, that red shading for that hurricane warning in effect for the Big Bend area of Florida. Further south, we see that tropical storm warning also for parts of for coastal Georgia as well as South Carolina. So Debby is going to be making her way into the northeast, moving offshore, and it is going to be loitering. Look at how much, or how little rather, it's going to be moving between, say, 2 a.m. on Tuesday and 2 a.m. on Thursday. So it's going to move offshore into water, gain some strength while being close enough to unleash those tropical storm impacts, the plethora of rainfall, the strong winds, and even the surge, the coastal flooding as a result of the winds pushing the water on shore. Then eventually it is expected to make landfall in South Carolina, then make its way into North Carolina. And once it fully moves inland, it's going to quickly weaken again because it will be cut off from its source of fuel and energy. So that is what is expected with Debby. Again, the rainfall amounts in the area could be up to 20 inches, especially for South Carolina. So guys, please take these warnings seriously because we're talking about a life-threatening situation here. And in the event of any tropical cyclone, whether it be a tropical storm, hurricane, the main issue is always with the water, be it the storm surge with those stronger hurricanes or all the heavy rain which unleash flooding in different areas. That is the major cause of fatalities within these tropical cyclones on a whole. I mean, the wind does damage, but it's really the water that causes the majority of the fatalities. So please, guys, listen to your local officials, as I've been reiterating. Please do not take any unnecessary risks and stay as safe as you can. Debby is no joke. And so going down the road, let's go ahead and quickly take a look at this here. So this is the Euro Ensemble members. There we have all those members for Debby. But as we're going to be heading throughout this week, look at this. We can see the ensemble tracks picking up on some development of the new tropical wave entering the Caribbean. So as it makes its way to the Western Caribbean, that's when conditions could really become a bit more conducive to allow for development. Now we're going all the way out to 10 days to next Thursday. Within that time, we're seeing that Euro would have expected that the disturbance would have made its way into the Gulf and eventually make landfall. But take a look at all of these members, suggesting that we could see something else develop out there. It may miss the Caribbean. Now, the steering mechanism is the area of high pressure out there. So if that area of high pressure is not dominant, then we could see something missing the Caribbean. But if it is, then it could be more of a problem for the Caribbean. The GFS members are not really showing much. They are showing some development with that tropical wave after it makes its way to the West Caribbean, potentially into the Gulf, and we can see all those members for Debby. But aside from that, not seeing much expected for the main development region. So the GFS members haven't been so adamant on development after the next tropical wave to move into the Caribbean, but we'll see what happens. As I've highlighted before, we're heading to that more active phase, or the most active phase rather, of the hurricane season, when we tend to see the most development take place. So we have to be on watch, and of course my channel is here to keep you posted on a daily basis with what's going on. And that's basically it for this updates video. So I do hope you found it to be informative, but if you have questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments. I'll get to you when I have the chance to do so. And remember to always be weatherwise.